Welcome to the Nonprofits and Media Podcast, where we talk to leaders involved with media inside a variety of nonprofit organizations about the different ways they approach marketing and communications. I'm Nathan Pfaff, and my job is to tease out what benefits or results they've seen in their content strategy so that you can apply those to your own life or organization. Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Nonprofits and Media. Today we're talking with Cullen Klassen, a filmmaker and director of photography whose work has taken him across more than a dozen countries, capturing stories of faith, courage, and missions. Cullen recently served as the director of photography for Missionary, a docuseries from Missionary.com that tells the story of historic missionaries to inspire a new generation. He's also the founder of Root Visuals, a media company partnering with nonprofits and businesses to help them tell stories that matter. Cullen's work blends adventure, creativity, and a deep desire to see media used for kingdom impact. In this episode, we talk about the making of Missionary, the art of visual storytelling, and interesting ways nonprofits can elevate their media to connect hearts and inspire action. Take a listen. Today I have Cullen Klassen with me. Cullen, thank you so much for joining the podcast. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, you were the cinematographer for a docuseries done by Missionary.com, and I'd love to get into that in a sec, but I'd love to have you start by sharing any story or greatest hits moments from either that series or maybe some of the other creative projects you've worked on.
Yeah, so as far as the series goes, that was pretty an amazing experience because we got to go to 13 different countries to film this project, and so a whole range of countries. And I mean, there's a couple that come to mind. You know, we were in Ireland filming, and we're involved in a hit and run. Thankfully, not with a pedestrian, but just a vehicle passed us, totally took out our mirror, and just kept going. And these narrow Ireland roads in the
Yeah, the streets are
countryside,
tiny in
and we
Europe.
couldn't we exactly, and we couldn't even turn around to go pursue after the guys. So we just had to file a claim, and that's on the rental vehicle. But yeah, there's stuff like that, and
I wonder if they get
in
that all
Von
the time over there or not.
yeah, probably they're always checking is your insurance good enough?
Yeah.
I hope it was in this case, but luckily I didn't have to deal with that side of things. But yeah, and then going to Vanuatu, I mean, was it an adventure of a lifetime? Being able to basically island hop in these tiny planes. I had a company who basically flew us everywhere, and a pilot who became kind of legendary to us. And he took us around everywhere, but we had some really interesting landings and weather that we had to deal with on that, and those were the scariest flights I've ever been on. At the same time, just the most incredible, he took us right beside an active volcano at one point, and that's just you'll remember those things
Yeah. One of
for
my
forever. And yeah.
One of my other podcast guests is a missionary bush pilot that, traveling around the South Pacific in those small Cessnas and prop planes. You have to have so much skill and confidence to be able to do that. It's amazing.
Yeah, and yeah, you're just man, there's one pilot. I mean, that's something you take for granted on a commercial flight. You're oh, there's multiple pilots. It's okay if he randomly, passes out or something. There's another guy to take over. In this case, it's none of us know how to fly. We're done. Yeah, Lord will take us home, but
Right.
it's yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, so there's a couple things that happen. In Zambia too, I had my drone taken away. Um, Everything I read, drone laws are different everywhere you go, and they're still developing. And a lot of these countries are just trying to figure out how to regulate them. But in Zambia, they had all these rules on their website, but there was nowhere to actually fill out a form to sign up and register your drone. So I just took it along, and we went to Victoria Falls, and we land in the airport there, and yeah, it got taken away almost immediately,
Well,
but they were really nice about it in a weird way. And they just kind of said, "Oh yeah, we'll just keep it here for you, and you pick it up when you leave." And so at least I got it back. But
that's good.
there's yeah, yeah,
I've also had an experience like that where, yeah, because I know that they geofence it so that you can't fly it in certain areas,
yeah.
but I thought that they would at least let it into the country. But I I was traveling to Morocco, and the same thing, right at the border at customs, they'll confiscate it. And I didn't even think to check ahead of time whether they would let it in. So
Right.
I've seen the room where drones go to die and just shelves and shelves of confiscated drones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get yours back?
I did end up also getting mine,
Okay.
which was,
Yeah, that's good.
yeah, there's a huge story behind that I won't get into, but yes, thankfully
Yeah,
got it back.
good.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool. So tell me about, well, first off, I want to have you explain your role as the director of photography. Could you just explain what that is for people who don't know
Yeah.
and how that's different than like a director or producer or anything?
Yeah, so my role um on Missionary and on other projects I work on too is often the director of photography. So that is like the person essentially behind the camera, that is um, kind of framing up every shot and working on lighting and basically focused on the visual. How does the visual look of what we're capturing? And so yeah, that's my role in it. Um, yeah,
Nice. So how did you get connected with Missionary and how did this project kind of come about?
yeah. So the director of Missionary, Stephen McCaskill, has done a number of kind of historical Christian documentaries, um, on Spurgeon, Luther, are a couple of other ones he's done. And I had the chance to meet him a few years ago. Um, kind of through a random connection, I met his dad in Canada, and he's like, "You got to talk to my son Steven. You guys do similar kind of things." And so we met, and I ended up doing a smaller documentary project for him at Ligonier Ministries when he was working there, and then yeah, since then he's moved on, but he's now um, working at Missionary .com, and he hired me as the director of photography to work on this project. So he was the director on the documentary series, and then yeah, I was behind the camera. I had to wear many hats on the project though. I wasn't just behind the camera. I was the audio guy as well.
Nice.
And so and it, just handling all basically the technical aspects of it in terms of the capture. So
Yeah.
hopefully moving forward we'll be able to have an audio person along, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
Audio is, yeah, it's a whole nother world and
Yeah.
can, yeah, just be a separate beast. It's always nice when someone else is there
Hmm.
to make sure it's done correctly.
Yeah, totally.
Gotcha. So that's cool. So do you know, like, I guess he just Steven called you up one day and was just like, I'm doing this 6-part docu-series. Do you want to help me
Yeah.
film? We're going to 15 different countries. And you're like,
Yeah.
yes, please.
Yes, sign me up. Yeah. It
Yeah.
was actually a crazy out of the blue phone call. I can't remember. I don't remember why I was having a bad week, but I just was having a rough day or like a rough week. And I think it was work related. And I just all of a sudden was like, yeah, the phone rings and it's Steven. And he's like, so there's this huge project and it's going to be like 7 international trips and this many days of filming and and I was like, yeah, done, I'm in. So yeah, it was pretty
So
awesome. Feel
how
very
long did you
privileged.
end up filming for? Obviously, traveling to that many places would be time consuming.
Yeah, yeah, and there was some extra filming we had to do as well. So I think it was over the course of about a year and a half from the time we started, maybe around a year. But yeah, we had to go on about 7 or 8 different international trips, and I think it was about, I figured with travel, like the travel time as well, it was about 60 days of work. Um, so yeah, broken up into 8 or 7 to kind of 10-day trips, um, and then a couple of shorter trips just to kind of get some pickup pieces that we needed to grab yet. But yeah,
Yeah. So this is 60 days spread out over a year, 2 years, or
yeah, just over a year, I think. So
okay.
yeah, yeah.
Nice.
So we
Do you
spent a
know,
lot of time with that group of guys. Like we really, it was me and Steven, the director, and then the two hosts, Chad and Brooks, and we just spent a ton of time together. Really got into each other's lives and got to share a lot of life together. That was fun.
I'm sure, yeah, a lot of good quality time
Yeah.
bonding in a bunch of different circumstances. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I know your role is kind of coming in actually as it's happening on the production side, and I'm sure a lot of details and planning went into it before you even got brought on board. So if I ask any questions that you're like, not my expertise or whatever, feel
Yeah.
free to just pass along.
Yeah.
But do you know like well, maybe could you explain kind of missionary.com and their um purpose or hope in this docu-series? Like why are they even doing
Yeah.
it? Why were all these guys wanting to
Yeah.
or believing in a project like this? Because that's
Yeah.
an
Totally.
ambitious goal, and a lot of resources,
Yeah.
time and energy went into this.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think this idea came actually before COVID, and then it, and so COVID kind of shut things down as far as travel went, and then they kind of picked it up again after. So it's been an idea for a while, and the idea was just um I think it was kind of looking at the problem of like we need to be kind of like we need to kind of see more missionaries be sent again. These missionaries of the past, they have, they just have a lot of great characteristics and kind of the way they follow God, the way they listen to God, their value for the word, um, and and so we have a lot to learn from them. We have a lot to learn from the past. And so the
Yeah.
idea is to, hey, how could we tell these stories of the past and inspire people in today's present and give basically churches in North America a great resource that they could use, small groups or different events and inspire people. So yeah, I think overall the series was really designed to create a great resource for churches to use to share these stories in a way that maybe people, they might not pick up a biography on John Payton or on Amy Carmichael, but to watch a 45-minute episode and just be inspired by some of the things they saw and heard, and is a really great resource to have for the church. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit behind the series and why it exists.
Totally. I love that idea of wanting to provide the resource, and you were inspired by something and you want the future generations to still be able to be inspired by it. I'm trying to pull up the first episode was on Tyndale.
William Tyndale.
And my parents were Bible translators, so I'd obviously heard Tyndale's name and picked up pieces of his story as we went along. But it wasn't actually until watching the first episode on him that you guys put together where I got more of like the full timeline, big picture, and it was really moving to me. Like again, as someone who had understood part of his story before, but the way that you guys were able to succinctly capture it and make it engaging. It was, I learned something, and I thought you guys did a great job. So
Yeah, it's interesting. Even when I share about the different characters in the series, when William Tyndale isn't often thought of as a missionary per se, right?
right.
But just his story and what he did is so foundational for missionaries that come after, who all had to work to translate the Bible into the local languages, right? And he was one of kind of a pioneer, I guess, in that sort of thing. So a very kind of foundational story to the whole series, right?
Yeah. And telling different missionary stories really lends itself to the series part of it and breaking it up into episodes as opposed to like just one film that encapsulates them all. But I wasn't sure if there was any other um reason that you knew of or motivation for splitting it up like that.
Yeah, I think the main thing is just super digestible lengths, right? And it just naturally happens when you have these different people. You can just focus on a different person every episode, and yeah, there are plans to do more. Um,
Amazing.
and yeah, so this summer we're going to Scotland to film the story of St. Andrew's Seven. So that's a group of missionaries that came out and had a big impact on the missions world. Um, and we have scripts for like Adoniram Judson, who went to Myanmar, just waiting for an opportunity to go there when it's safe enough to do so and film. And and just kind of other discussions around other potential missionaries that we could capture as well. But yeah, the cool thing is by doing it episodically like this, you can just add on like episode at a time, right?
Yeah, there you go.
And
You don't
so
even have to
yeah,
make it a separate
Yeah.
thing. It could just be like season 1 and 2, or yeah, like you said,
Yeah.
as we go along. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. So yeah.
that's
And you
really
can even do
cool.
one-off episodes and it totally still works. So yeah.
Yeah, well, that's exciting. More that people can look forward to in the future.
Yeah,
So then should
exactly.
go watch it now. But okay, I have to ask because it is such a big project. Do you know how it was funded? Was it all just like donor support based, or uh, how did this come about?
Yeah, I wasn't involved in the funding up front, but as far as I know, it was a smaller group of private investors, donors that got behind the vision of it and said, "Well, we're going to fund this." So pretty amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I love that. I think there's been a shift in prioritizing media and like good content recently. That
yes,
that
yeah,
has been a trend that I've been really encouraged by. So that's very cool.
yeah.
I had to
Me
ask
too.
you.
Yeah,
Cool. So, you also have your own kind of production company that you were able to hop on this project, but you also work with other nonprofits and do other videos, or even working with for-profits, things like that. So, do you enjoy working with nonprofits, or like what are some of the differences that you maybe see in terms of those two approaches?
yeah. Well, I mean, what I'm doing now with Root Visuals is yeah, I feel like the Lord led me to this spot. Because I did have the opportunity to work with a bunch of different marketing companies over a number of years, kind of as an in-house video guy, media person, and um, yeah, it was just over the years. It was like I was gaining these different skills, but I felt maybe there's something more, like there's something God was preparing me for. I also had a bunch of like past experiences doing like short-term mission trips and all over the world, and always really enjoyed those experiences and got a heart for the world and nonprofit work and stuff. And so I just feel like God brought it all together about 3 years ago and was like, hey, here's something that I'm inviting you into. Um and so yeah, that's kind of how Rude Visuals got started. But I just love partnering with nonprofits, also like businesses that are just doing things more innovatively to basically like do things in a way that's more it's about building the kingdom ultimately for them, and also like social enterprise kind of initiatives, those kind of things. And I just have a passion for working with them, bringing together kind of business as well and nonprofit, and just getting creative with that sort of work. But um I guess a difference, I mean, a big thing for me when I was working in the, let's say, for-profit world, um, was, there's projects I got to work on where we were working with cool stuff, whatever it was, snowmobiles or, um, dirt bikes, other things as well. Um, and these things were cool to capture visually, and there's a lot of fun in doing those things. Um, but in the end, I think like for me, I really wanted what I did in a 9 to 5 to connect with my faith, in a way that made sense to me personally. And there are those who the Lord has created them to make amazing commercial work, you know, and be an influence in that sector. And for me, I just feel like in this season at least, he's kind of said like, yeah, you have a heart for nonprofits and seeing them have great media, right? And that was the thing for me is like I want to make sure that like these charities, nonprofits that I work with also have top-notch marketing materials to work with, because they're also trying to in a sense sell people on supporting, right? And partnering with them. And so they need marketing too. And so that's just something that I don't know, I've always been passionate about. I feel like I can speak their language because I've been in that world as well a long time in different ways and capacities, and whether that's through missions or being involved in the church, and just being able to really speak the same language, understand vision, and have a heart for it, um God's heart for the world, and praying together, all those things, right? So yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
mhm.
you're speaking my language. I feel like
Yeah.
we're very similar
Very
passion in
aligned.
this,
Yeah.
yeah, in this aspect. But playing devil's advocate, what would you say when nonprofits are are like, we want media work, but it's too expensive. We have other priorities. We gotta put all of our support towards the mission, not for video content or things like that. Like, do you have a response for kind of the pushback you get when you want to encourage nonprofits to have high quality media?
Yeah, I always want to be respectful. Like they're often whatever. At least in Canada, a lot of those nonprofits are run by boards, who they've made that decision already. Oftentimes, whatever. By the time you get to chat with whether it's the person leading the nonprofit or their marketing person, um, they've already set their budget for the year. I can't really push back, you know, and I can encourage them next year to hey, like and so in those situations, I might say, hey, like next year, here's some ideas. And I'll just start giving them some ideas. I think there's power in idea and like giving them a concept or imagine we created this, something along this line and what that could be for you guys. I think that's helpful. And then if they get excited about that idea, they can whatever, take it back to their board or that kind of thing. Right. But things move a little slower, right, with nonprofits, or they can because, yeah, you're now waiting for the next budget year, and even before that, they have to talk to someone who might have to talk to someone, and so there's just more time maybe that's needed to kind of convince them to invest in these materials. So I mean that's one thought I have about it. Yeah,
No, I think that's great. I think you're totally right that it does move slower, and I love that idea of like planting a seed even for the next year or something, or giving them ideas because maybe they're so in the weeds and in the thick of it that they don't really see like, oh yeah, maybe a piece like this could be really impactful or beneficial for the organization or something. So I think you're
yeah. And like you and me, we do this every day. And like you said, like we might have the ideas that they've just never thought of. And so or we've worked with a different organization that did this and it worked really well. So what if you guys did something like that? So I think there's value even in that, just sharing the idea, and it could be something that really helps them out. Yeah.
Are there places where you've seen nonprofit media either thrive or fall short? And yeah, like maybe what they do good, and then also where you could see improvement?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, uh, I think you remember hopefully you remember the really good stuff, and kind of forget the not so good stuff. I've been in situations where you're like, yeah, I'm a person who really likes to do things with excellence. So when something is done kind of halfway, it feels like, oh, it could have been better. But yeah, I think yeah, when you see it done really well and it's invested in really well. I'm trying to think of a good one. Um, yeah. I mean, I've even seen some church bumper videos that are just awesome, right? And like it's a for like a series bumper before the sermon series, and it just like, whoa. Yeah, this is a little nugget. I'm not sure if and you can include this or not, but like Matty Hapoya, he's like a YouTuber.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
watched his stuff. Yeah,
yeah. So before he's kind of doing YouTube, he actually was making church videos. And
really, I
in
didn't know that.
Ontario, yeah, and he was making some fantastic church videos like 15 years ago, 10 15 years ago, using probably like I don't even know what camera they would have had at that time. But they are great and they still hold up. And so like
Wow,
I look at that. I remember that's an example I think of where, you know, I saw those and I was like, wow, that's like really high level for like Christian media. And just in, I think those examples have inspired me of, oh yeah, we could do better. We could push for something that is is better art. And there was a time where in Europe and stuff where some of the best art was coming out of the church and was commissioned by the church. And whether that was music or painting or whatever. And yeah, I think that there's something cool about just kind of giving yeah, like art that moves people and connecting that to pointing to God. So yeah,
I love that. I didn't know that about Maddie. I
yeah.
I follow Peter McKinnon as well, and so I think
Mm-hmm.
I heard about Maddie because of Peter
Yeah,
McKinnon and his videos. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, there's this particular video I can remember watching. It's like this cross in the forest, and I think there's like a bunch of like notes on strings that are all connected to this cross. So the set design is amazing. Like they probably spent tons of hours just creating this set with all these strings coming through the forest connecting to the cross, and they all start blowing up and there's like sparks flying in the video. And anyway, it was beautiful.
It's awesome.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I love when you find or you have like pieces like that that you remember and
Hmm.
oh that impacted you, and you can think back on, and you're like, wow, even now I remember how well I was the set designed or the edit or whatever.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
That's cool. So, with your experience, would you recommend more organizations do feature length documentaries or even docu-series, or how would you like what kind of content do you think um nonprofits could utilize?
Yeah, I've had the chance to work with an organization in Winnipeg called Inner City Youth Alive over the last 3 years. And one of the first projects they commissioned me to do was actually a mini doc. So it ended up being 15 minutes long. And that was cool to just like jump right into that with them, like a bigger project right away. Um, but I think it was really beneficial for them because it told the bigger story about their involvement in the neighborhood, the people that they worked with and walked with for years. And kind of like we tracked the stories of three individuals in that series and kind of where they're at now and where they were. And we also heard from many different staff members and their perspectives. And I thought it just was like this really beautiful kind of big picture of this is our heart. And this is kind of the work we're doing. And so I think that that video can fit a lot of scenarios. Now, what it doesn't do is it doesn't, communicate in a short, succinct 2 minutes. It's not going to catch someone in the middle of their day,
Right.
right? Which is a lot of the content we focus on. A lot of the like that we're starting to focus on more is creating these short little pieces that we can catch people during the day. But there's something super cool when you actually have an audience that comes and they're saying, "I want to sit and watch this," and now you have a captive audience. And I think there's a lot of transformation that can happen in that space. And so I don't know, maybe it's for organizations that are creating spaces like that. Like this documentary that I've been talking about, this 15-minute short doc was used at their fundraising banquet that they have, their annual fundraising banquet, and everyone watched it together. And that is the perfect spot for that to be played and watched. And so, it is a bigger investment, but it also will have the longevity. Like that piece, they'll be able to use hopefully for the next 5 to 10 years, and it'll still ring true, right? Whereas some of the maybe the shorter content kind of has a very short shelf life, and it might only be able to be used this year. So we've also done shorter stuff with that organization though, like kind of 3 to 5 minute um, stories on different programs, and which still have that documentary feel to them because we're bringing in real people, getting them to share the real stories of impact. And yeah, those are good as well. Like those are from them, I hear they're mostly, they're used more on like website situations, like in-person meetings with donors, like those kind of things. And that's also a really great tool to have. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's just really, I mean, visuals as a whole, like organizations investing in visuals, it brings your ministry or your organization to life for donors and people who are supporting, I think. And they're like, oh, I see it now. Like I actually really see it. And I get it now. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's cool, and I think that, like, donor dinners are a perfect place for those longer 15-minute
Yeah.
pieces or whatever, but that's
Yeah.
often a question I have is, once these pieces get made, how do you, how do organizations get eyes on it? Because, you know, we all know the time where you make this awesome video and you deliver it to the client, and then it gets like 12 views on YouTube or
Yeah.
something. And it feels like, man, you have this resource. How do you utilize it as much as you can so that you get the most amount of eyes on it as possible? I don't know if you have anything you want to speak to that, but basically, like, how can you encourage people to
Mhm.
get eyes on the content that gets made?
Yeah, you almost have to have the plan before you make the tool, right? Like, and I mean, to a degree, I try to do that with some of my clients, and some of the times that's already in place. Like they already know this organization I was talking about. They know already we have this many email campaigns per year, and we'd love to use it on this email campaign. And so in that case, they are coming up with that plan ahead of time, and they know where the placement will be. But yeah, getting it in front of eyes, like there's different ways, and I think every organization is going to be different. And with Missionary, the docuseries, uh, it's a whole different ball game than like a local ministry that I maybe would work with here in Winnipeg. Like there they have access to some bigger conferences where it can be promoted, an email list where they can send out email blasts and tell more people that they can access this documentary and stream it. Um, and there's also other online blogs that can pick it up and promote it. So there's different ways to kind of get it in front of people that when you're working on something like that. Um, but yeah, with some of these other, organizations, I also work halftime with a missions organization as their video producer, called Multiply, and yeah, there again we have plans and avenues for videos to get used. So we have someone who's on social media, and she will use it, right, in her yeah, in different use cases, and then we have email blasts that go out to our supporters as well, and then our missionaries on the ground might use it in their communication as well. And so there's a bunch of different avenues um, that we already have in place where this can be used. Now, I have to be on the ball and remind them to use it sometimes.
Right.
Like, hey, I created this. This is your tool. Use it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know you do some, like, social media management and,
Yeah.
like, email marketing and stuff like that. So do you pitch that to them as well, or, like, give them slightly different versions of the video so that they can put on a different platform or something like that?
Yeah, so I don't touch social media management or email marketing.
Oh, you don't?
But
Okay.
no, I don't. Like at the organization I work halftime with, there would be people in those roles.
Sure.
And like at missionary.com, for example, there are people in those roles as well. Um, but yeah, for me, I'm just trying to stick to the video side of things. But definitely strategically, I'm always thinking about how can we like knowing so like when I start a project, I'll go back to this. When I start a project with a client, I'm going through what's called a creative brief and just developing the plan with them. It's a document that I've used and developed over a number of years now, and I kind of tweak it over time to make it more effective. But one of the big questions is like, who's our audience? Where is this going? Where is this getting placed? Right. And so once I have that in mind and I know that plan, and maybe it helps them think about it a little more, then I'm creating pieces that will serve that purpose. Right. So you reverse maybe engineer it that way if you want to say it, and then say it that way. And then, yeah, you have these pieces now that you can use effectively in those placements. So, yeah, like I might create a 5-minute testimonial story for them, but then I'm also creating maybe 3 reels from that, snippets from different interviews that they can use on their social media feed as well. So,
Nice.
yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and I know that you, have submitted some of your videos to different film festivals, and so I wanted to
Ah,
get your experience on that and whether you would, like, encourage organizations to do that or,
yeah,
maybe specific
yeah.
ones or specific types of avenue, maybe just to get more eyes on it, or but you could you speak a little bit about your experience there?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay, a couple things. So to jump off that, you talked about like different organizations finding ways to get media out. I actually worked with one organization called Save Water Social Ventures this past year, and they actually, as their annual fundraiser, run a film festival. And so it's so cool. Like they display their own videos, but they also invite other, organizations and social enterprises to play their videos at it. So
That's
that's
awesome.
kind of a neat format. Yeah.
Yeah, wait, I love that because it's like the audience that's there is going to be a like-minded audience, so they're going to be kind of it's like brilliant promotional or advertising
Yeah.
for the other organizations to be able to show their media to a group that's already probably has some
Yeah.
values and mindset.
Exactly.
That's super cool.
Yeah. It is cool, and it's an entertaining way to spend a fundraising evening, right? Rather than
Yeah.
and just sitting around but yeah, it's a cool model. Um, yeah, as far as submitting, yeah, films to film festivals, so I submitted a short documentary called "Terrifying Delight of Losing Everything" that I did a couple years ago to a number of different festivals, and so I used Film Freeway for that, which I think is just brilliant. Like I didn't know where to start in terms of film, it's like where to find festivals, like which ones would make the most sense, and all of that. And Film Freeway is just like this massive database of every single film festival you can imagine. And you can even use search words. So I like would search, Christian festivals, that kind of thing, and found a bunch. And you pay everything right there on that site. You upload everything right there on that site, and it kind of like sends it out to all these festivals that you pay for. You just add them to your cart. You go shopping up for festivals, and it's a great way to do it, and it makes it very easy.
I love
But
it.
yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it's a neat way. So that's how I've done it, and now we're gonna be shortly here submitting Missionary to festivals.
Awesome.
And so, yeah, so far I just I submitted it to one local one, and so it's gotten that one. So I'll play next month, and yeah,
Missionary Will or your short film?
Missionary will, yeah, Missionary
Oh,
will, yeah, yeah.
awesome.
So it's a local festival, and yeah, I happen to know some of the people who run it now, and so I just submitted it, and yeah, it'll play next month. Yeah,
Yeah. So when you submitted the short video you did, The Terrifying Delight of Losing Everything, which I watched by the way and was super powerful. What
yeah.
was your
Thanks.
mindset in submitting it? Were you like, I'm only gonna do this to Christian film festivals, or am I just gonna try
Yeah,
to put it out there to some bigger ones
yeah,
and see what
yeah.
happens?
Yeah, that's a really good question because um, yeah, we decided that, yeah, mostly it would go to Christian film festivals, where it would make sense for the audience. But there was actually one, it was, just in my search on Film Freeway, I found this really interesting festival. I think it was called like Life After Death Festival or something like that. Um, and it is a multi-faith festival that features films about the afterlife, essentially, and like thoughts around like mortality and themes around that, and like it's like,
Oh,
okay, this is really unique and interesting, but I looked at it, and I just ran it by like, the team and the people who are featured in the film, and they're like, yeah, let's do it. Like it's a cool like evangelism opportunity to share our faith and our perspective on death and on dying, I guess you could say, and terminal illness. And yeah, and so we did do that. And so yeah, it did play there. I think it was in Italy or something, this festival. But
that's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
Good for you. That's great. Yeah,
yeah,
it's so interesting the different niche categories that different festivals will have, like one about the afterlife or stuff like that.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I think and all in all, it was probably between 10 and 15 festivals that we entered that one in, and it did quite well. Like yeah, performed really well at all of them, and people really seemed to respond well to it. And that was the goal in the end. We just wanted more people to see this story because we thought this everyone who watches it is almost in tears, being impacted by this story. More people need to see this, and so that's why we wanted to submit it to lots of festivals and just get more eyeballs on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
really appreciated seeing the Missionary docuseries on like Amazon and I forget where else. I got it on Amazon.
Yeah. It's on Apple.
It's
Yeah.
on Apple and YouTube. And so that's cool, like just being able to provide a way for people to stream it and you do have to purchase it.
Yeah.
Which I respect as a filmmaker. I know everybody wants their content free.
Yeah.
But it does cost to make. And so
Yeah.
I just love the idea of organizations producing high quality content that can reach broader audiences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
Cool. Well, do you have any other like advice or things for nonprofits regarding media that is on your heart, something you're passionate about, or want to just drop here? It's okay if not, but just thought I'd put the
Yeah, I think sharing like real stories of impact um is what your audience needs to hear and see. Um yeah, you can do that through written form and you can do that kind of verbally. Um but there's something about video that kind of is like a portal, right? To seeing it firsthand. Um and yeah, there's lots that goes into like Nathan, you're my job. Like we craft that story and we form it, but you get to see it and you get to see the people and you get to see the emotion on their face. And you get to realize this is a real person and you get to know them. And yeah, I think that that's really powerful and special. And so, yeah, that's, I mean, still tell real stories of real people and the impact that your organization or whatever's having. I think that that's kind of where I would start, or at least advice I would give, maybe. Yeah.
yeah, I love that. Is there something that really motivates you when it's been a long day and brutal work hours and you're in the
Yeah.
dark editing room or something?
Yeah.
Like, what keeps you going?
You know, it's a personal thing, but I really want to do work that matters. Um, I had this thought the other day as driving, kind of praying and just like Lord, when I stand before you, I want to feel like I like poured out my life to you as an offering, right? And um and this is what, yeah, as far as my craft and maybe kind of vocation as well, like where for now I feel that you've called me and you're kind of leading the way in this business that I'm running to help nonprofits, Christian organizations, and yeah, that keeps me going, right? Like to know that the work that I'm doing matters and hopefully God's gonna use it to impact people in some way. And like when you get to share stories like the terrifying delight of losing everything and or missionary, and you have people coming up to you saying like I was almost in tears and I was just moved. Um, that's all I need. That fuels me, you know? It's pretty simple. It's cool when people say, "Wow, it looked amazing," "It looked so good." That feels good too, right? That scratches your, whatever, the ego a bit. It's like, "Hey, yeah, but mostly it's like that stuff fizzles away pretty quick, and it's the stuff where you remember is like the comments of, "Yeah, I was almost in tears," or, you know, this part of the video really impacted me and I'm thinking differently now. So that's what I'll say. Leave it there. But yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Super powerful. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, Cullen, how can people find you? Where can they go to see
Hmm.
your work?
Yeah. You can go to rootvisuals.ca, ROOT visuals.ca. That's my portfolio's up there and a little bit about me and the team and the business. And yeah, you can also find Root Visuals on Instagram. I believe there's no spaces or anything between that. And then or my personal account actually has more. If I'm going to be honest, it's Cullen Klassen, no spaces, and yeah, and so those are the biggest places you can find me at this point. So yeah,
Awesome. Cool. Well, Cullen Klassen, go check out his work. And Cullen, really appreciate your time.
Yeah, I really appreciate this conversation. It was really fun.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to subscribe to our channels for future content. It really helps us out. This podcast is brought to you by Travelite Studios. Travelite is a full-service film production company that specializes in documentary and promotional videos for your nonprofit. We are a multicultural team of award-winning creatives with a passion to help organizations grow their reach. We can be your media team or work alongside your media team to deliver captivating content that energizes your audience. Travelite takes the time to truly get to know you and your needs and includes extra tools to help make your videos be the most powerful they can be. Go to travelitestudios.com right now to plan a project and have your story and solutions presented to viewers in a beautifully compelling way. That's travelitestudios.com.